Hi everyone! I will tell you how I feel about a different topic today. The Russo-Ukrainian War is an ongoing conflict that officially started in 2014. This conflict is one of the most discussed topics in foreign policy today. This is because this war involves the major economic poles, and because it involves powerful economies. The effects of this war extends to even the most remote and neutral parts of the world. This is because of the place that Ukraine occupies on the map. Political scientists refer to this event scenario as the shadows of the Cold War. Since the Soviet Union was dissolved in 1992, Ukraine have been going through a process of westernization and have paid a big price in order to be able to do so. Since 1954, after the death of one of the most important leaders of the Soviet Union, Russia have been trying to gain Ukraine from the West. An example of that was when Russia gave Crimea to Ukraine, claiming it was a noble act of love and trust towards the Ukrainian people. Why was this not a noble act? Because before giving Crimea away, Russia dislocated the non-Russian ethnicities that lived in Crimea to another parts of Europe. The result of this Russian supremacy in Crimea was that in 2014 was very easy to annex Crimea into Russian territory back again. Although the annexation of Crimea was made under military force, 97% of the Crimean population wanted to be incorporated to Russia anyway. Besides, Ukraine had already freed Crimea in 1992, and Ukraine had no possession of Crimea anymore since back then. But in order to take over Crimea in 2014, Russia had to trespass Ukrainian territory. And that caused a bloody conflict between Russia and Ukraine, resulting in 14,000 deaths and 14 million dislocated. This conflict is not over until this day because of a territory called Donbas. This territory belongs to Ukraine, but is composed mostly by Russian ethnic groups. Ukraine obviously wants to prevent Russia from taking another bite of its territory. But the people in Donbas have already expressed the desire to be incorporated into Russia instead. Even if Ukraine just gave up the fight and let Russia take over Donbas in a way, it would not solve the problem, because Russia policymakers are known to never stop until the whole world stops. The fear is that Russia will also take over Ukraine and keep on going. That's why Ukraine wants to be part of NATO, which NATO is a military alliance with the intent of self-protection in case of an attack. Why Russia is totally against it. But of course, there is another side of the story. Because if Russia really wanted to take over Donbas and also the whole Ukraine, why it hasn't done yet? Why Russia would wait until 2021 to do so? Because in 2014, the military forces of Ukraine were pretty much non-existent, counting with a few numbers of trained soldiers, poor weaponry, and little military ammunition. Since 2014, the West have been arming Ukraine to help the country overcome its military weaknesses. Every day, Ukraine gets more and more powerful. Ukraine soldiers have been training extensively and constantly since 2014 in order to be capable of defeating the big Russian army that counts with around 170,000 troops. In December of this year, the US sent 30 missile systems to Ukraine in order to help it deter Russian aggression. The UK is set to help Ukraine by developing a greater Ukrainian naval base. France, Germany, and many other members of NATO have already warned Russia about the severe consequences in case Russia invades Ukraine. So why now? Why just now is on the edge of invading Ukraine and not 7 years ago? Why would Russia wait until its enemy becomes stronger and stronger? Because it's possible that Ukraine and therefore NATO is actually the ones looking for war with Russia. It's possible that Ukraine wants to take Crimea back and prevent Russia to annex Donbas to its territory. If Ukraine takes Crimea back, Ukraine will have been able to access to the Black Sea and take an economical lead over Russia. It looks like Ukraine is looking for a fuse for this war. Let me give an example. In December of this year, an Ukrainian naval ship had crossed Russian territory. Ukrainian officials said that the ship was unarmed and involved in a simple training exercise, and in addition, point out that the ship called donbas haven't even approached 10 nautical miles away from Russian borders. The ship that was later intercepted for failing in obeying orders was recorded live by a Russian TV station on YouTube with a headline that said Ukrainian provocation. There was even a military analyst hosting the live stream and suggesting that the ship should be blown out the water. There are reasons to believe that Ukraine, in fact, provoked Russia. Because in 2018, 3 naval ships approached Russian territory, what initiated a shooting and almost a military escalation. If this war was going to escalate, it is expected that even more lives will be lost in this time and even more people will be dislocated. Ukraine might lose Donbas and Ukraine might lose its whole territory for Russia. But if this war across the Ukrainian borders and NATO supports Ukraine, this conflict will escalate to the rest of Europe and we will experience a third world trade. What is preventing this war from happening right now is that no one has yet pushed the trigger. What is pushing this war forward right now is that the current economic scenario and the pandemic of 2020. For example, when the government of Ukraine provided the COVID vaccine to its population, many Ukrainian citizens didn't want to take the vaccine because the vaccine was made by the West and a lot of separatist groups, especially in Donbas who were majorly Russians, considered the vaccine less efficient and even harmful to them. They wanted to take the Sputnik vaccine made in Russia instead. While UK and Canada didn't even consider the vaccine made in Russia to be effective at all. To prevent Russian ethnic groups to fly away from Ukraine, it's the same as being genocidal and Russian phobic, according to the President Vladimir Putin. The Russian ambassador to the United States said Russia is a peaceful nation and that Russia have even tried to join NATO, but have been prevented to do so. Now, a subject like that can never be addressed in just one conversation. So, what is your position? Let me know. Like, share, and subscribe. Bye.